Alright, yeah, it's time for the double rainbow. It's time to talk about double rainbow 2025. Realistically, I should have done this earlier, but the problem was, my defense, that uh, it took a little bit of time for them to put the results out for the tournament, and then after that, I was traveling to BCS, and I think I probably had something going on in my personal life, time wise, that made me unable to make a video. So, um, uh, we are talking about the double rainbow results now, however. It's never too late. And there's a lot to talk about. From what I have gathered, they don't have the full results from all the players at the tournament. We just have access to the top 32 lists. I do not know if they plan on uh, publishing those. I already bugged Canton enough about posting this, so I don't really want to want to ask again. But we do have access to the to quite a lot of information here. So yeah, I'm just gonna start going through that. So the way that they organized this was they they posted it by the player who got the highest placing in Swiss, and then denoted if they went further than top 32, like here, for example. And if they didn't, like here, then that means that they got they only got to top 32, and then they got eliminated. So, in case you're wondering what's happening with the formatting on this post and this video, that's what's going on. And this can just be found on Canton's note, which I think is linked right here. If you need help getting this for some reason, then let me know. If you don't know, Double Rainbow was won by Churro on Churro Special, and second place was, I believe, Empty. Um, Wait, second? Am I losing my mind? Okay, but it was Empty, right? I'm pretty sure Empty got second place. I feel like I'm going crazy here, but um, and this got like fourth. What? Oh my gosh. Am I going crazy? Okay. Well, apparently some of this information is maybe I'm just misunderstanding what this is saying, but it's chill. It's well, Chiro, yeah, winner. Best 8, best 16, best 16. They have third place. Okay. It's fine. If I see something like those, I'll just point it out. Anyways, first we have Mochi's Scizor. This got pretty far. Well, not pretty far. It obviously day two'd, so but he did very well with Scizor. And actually, this is something that happened a lot. There were a lot of Scizors at this tournament. A lot of Scizors that did well at this tournament. I'm sure that there will be more of those, but they give me very little to talk about because it's Scizor, and it's a deck that builds itself and a deck that plays itself, and so there's not really a whole lot to say except, oh my God, stop playing this card. You see this card? This card. Stop playing Master Ball. I don't even know if you can see my cursor on OBS. Stop playing Master Ball. Do not play Master Ball in this deck. Whoops. Play Pokeball. Play Pokeball. The math works better. You attach to Scyther, you twin play, you get two Scythers out of the deck. Next turn, you play Pokeball. Master Ball does not do anything in this regard. You're not hitting your EXs easily off of Scyther. You don't want to hit other Scythers off of your Master Ball. if you have any Scizors prized, the Master Ball just completely tanks in value. And you're already flipping tons of coins. I mean, you got 4 ER2, 4 reversal at minimum, so you might as well go for it. You can also play like Energy Charge in this deck. I don't know enough about Scizor. I feel like you kind of want maybe more draw cards. Like you have shuffle and draw. You might want to play like Marys or something, or TV Reporter. Maybe not TV Reporter in this deck, but um, yeah, I mean it's Scizor. What do you want me to say? Uh, then we have, oh man, so they put out the like this thing here, which shows all the Swiss top cut decks, and yeah, when we saw Ludy Cargo, oh man, it's crazy. Um, Also, I'm realizing these images are very small and low quality, but I'm going to assume that we all are on the same page and can recognize every card from a 20-year-old format. So if there's any cards you can't recognize, just let me know and I'll tell you what they are. Yeah, when I saw that this went super giga ballistic beast mode, uh, I was thinking like, oh man, they gotta have some like crazy like Japanese technology in this deck, right? Because like Ludy Cargo is not a strong deck. It's not even that it's not a strong deck, it's that it has no like what matchups are you winning? Like even if you get Sceptile EX up, you're not really like crushing against Bombtar. And most Pidgeot decks can play through like 3 Battle Frontiers without too much issue. So I don't. So when the list was revealed and it's just like, yep, this is just Ludy Cargo with like a couple of techs, like very obvious techs, Sceptile and Doug Trio, I think are pretty obvious. I think the Fire Ludicolo is pretty fun and potentially good. Um, I don't really understand how this got 601 or whatever it got. But seems that this is Raul Runic, I think. Or no, Raul, and then played this, which is I guess how they say Lady Cargo. Anyways, apparently he didn't have much faith in it because day two he just switched to like bog standard Arcanine. I guess this is like Houndoomless Arcanine, so not completely bog standard. Very strange list actually. Now that I'm looking at it, heavy on the shuffle and draw cards. I don't know what Briney's is doing in this deck. I could see Super Scoop Up being played in something like this, truthfully. Energy Switch is cute. The ER2, 4 ER2, 4 reversal, like, please just let me win type of cards I like. I don't think you need Retriever in this deck. Um, and you can play Master Ball in this, truthfully. And I almost want to see a Scott, but I guess if you're on the like heavy Oaks research copycat advent thing, then Scott becomes a lot worse. Um, yeah, and also a low energy count. I feel like these usually play closer to like 15 energy than 12, which seems like it could potentially be a problem. Um, but yeah, so both of these players, yeah, I guess I didn't mention it, but Mochi played the same list both days. You can switch lists at Double Rainbow. I don't know if that will always be the case, but it's been the case for at least the last 2 tournaments. So I liked this. I know some players did not like it, and some players did like it. So we'll see how it goes from there. Anyways, not really reinventing the wheel on this Arcanine, but it's definitely cool. Um, then we have KG on another Arcanine. I know he went crazy in Swiss because I remember watching some of the results before I went to sleep and seeing that he was on a bit of a tear. Um, why are you playing fighting in this? What? Oh, because he plays Castaway. Okay, because I was like with Fire Remedy, you can just attach the rainbow and it like doubles as the fighting. But okay, yeah, this makes sense if you're on Castaway. So very different. The Hitmontop, the big Canton tech that we all kind of started playing as well. But it does do pretty good at dealing with Bombtar when you're playing a deck that has like bench sniping capabilities, because it's really easy to just overrun, hit a Larvitar, and then that can just become a problem several turns later when they have Tyranitar, and you can still one-shot it with Hitmontop. Past that, Mr. Stones I think is a bad card, but I see why you'd want to play it in this. EXP all. I guess if you're on the Castaway engine, it makes sense. Kind of surprised that there's not more Oran berries. That's in my head what I would first gravitate towards if I was playing a Castaway Arcanine deck, but it must have worked out for him. I mean, he did pretty well at this event. And then I think he played a slightly different list for day two. However, if you asked me what the difference is, I couldn't tell you. And the Pokedex is a Victory Orb. Victory Orb is like Pokedex, but better, and because it does like 6 cards instead of 5, or 7 cards instead of 6. I can't remember. Um, what is what is this? Oh, I guess that's the Victory Orb. I guess he's on 2 of them. Okay. Okay. Wait, so he played. So between day 1 and day 2, I guess he acquired another Victory Orb, and that's how. Okay, that's the difference. But yeah, cool stuff. I like Apom in these Great Ball decks. Nice to be able to just draw a card if you need to, which is pretty common because typically, as long as you have, if you get 3 Growlithe up, that's the extent of Pokemon that you want up for the entire game, and so anything else you just kind of is just extra. Um, then we've got Megumi on Bombtar. So there was a lot of Bombtar, and a lot of Bombtar converted. So at BCS, I'm pretty sure for the first time in a long time, we had a different deck besides Bombtar that had the highest representation. Gardevoir was the most played deck at BCS, and here, uh, the Japanese players do love playing Bombtar, or I guess they value it highly. They value, of course, Gardevoir highly, but they do tend to play this more than Westerners. Kind of curious as to why. So if there are any Japanese players watching, feel free to talk about why in the comments. Um, but anyways, Bombtar. I don't know what this Larvitar split is about. What? This is a crazy list, actually. Okay, so it's a Sableye Bombtar list. These have been popping up more. They are so frustrating to play against. They are so frustrating to play against. Sableye, truly one of the biggest bozos in RSPK. Very annoying to. Like, you can't really tech for it. You just have to kind of play a suboptimal list, I guess, and just hope that you don't hit it. Uh, and it's not really good enough to be worth doing that for. Like, Sableye is not worth preparing on that level for, so it will just be an annoying card that sometimes results in non-games. So that's Sableye. Anyways, on to the rest of this list. Apom is cool when you're on a high swoop count. It's the same thing with the Great Ball. Actually, quite a bit of Apom so far. Um, Gardevoir, or not Gardevoir, what's this thing's name? Girafarig with Sableye. I guess the night vision doesn't really matter, but I'm surprised that there's no Lunar Rock in this. I feel like if you're on these high swoop counts. I almost wonder if Lunar Rock would be better over Girafarig. Um, but beyond that, 2 admin is insane. 2 POW is really insane. 1 Cess, no Windstorm. This is a crazy amount of energy, right? 4, 2 scram. Yeah, I mean, what can you say about this? Probably really consistent turn 1 Sableye, because you are on 4 swoop, 4 Sableye, 4 dark, 4 dark metal, 3 rainbow. So you're probably hitting Sableye off of that. I have not really built or played Bombtar very much, so I don't know how this compares to other builds. But it is cool that there are so many different ways to play this very established deck, and we still don't really know what the best way is. Um, and what was I gonna say? Um, what else? What else is there to say? I had a thought. Um, oh yeah, at the BCS, which I will make a future video about, we were talking about how Japanese players like build their own lists very often, and American players do not build their own lists. And yeah, it seems like a lot of Japanese lists. Like I've never seen anything close to this. I don't think that Megumi plays online, so like I never would have gotten to see this in action. It doesn't seem to be based off of any build I've ever seen, so it's really cool seeing how people come up with their own novel takes on things. And this is a cool list. I don't know if I would play it, but it's pretty wild. I like Castaway in this deck a lot. I do think it's a good card. And then Korofuku on Drag Trode. So, um, if you're not aware, the Japanese play Drag Trode often with Sceptile. Often it's not Sneasel focused. Historically, the deck just wasn't really considered very good in the Sneasel variants. I don't know why, actually, but I do know that historically it was not considered to be a super strong deck. Again, with these weird basic lines, I do wonder about the motivation behind that when they're not playing Lynette. Um, Past that, really thick Dragonite line, 443 with the 2 Rockets Pokeball is quite quite thick. No Retriever. No Retriever is pretty interesting actually. No Retriever, no Trode EX. I guess with Sceptile EX, you kind of lose some of your luster there. Plays Charizard Star, which is the worst card in the format. Do not play this card. But uh, what can you do? Quad Admin, kind of interesting for this deck too. Although it does make better use of this of high admin counts in a lot of Stage 2 decks, just because it thins the deck so well between Evolutionary Light, Rocket's Pokeball, and Dark Nav. You are getting through your deck quick enough that the admin is not really bad for getting cards back into rotation. And you can do fun things like if you have 2 energy in hand, like attach 1 admin away to the other, dark nab it onto your guy. So there's things there. Also 3 candy. They also do play candy because they're facilitating the Sceptile EX. And it also is just nice because you can candy into Dark Dragonite, which can probably come up in relatively frequently. The 1 Briney's no Versus Seeker. Sydney Stadium is a cool card. I think it's worth considering in these Dragonite focused ones. Um, just because Stantler is annoying. But yeah, very very cool list. If you're interested in playing Japanese drag trodes with Sceptile, I think this is a pretty good starting point. It has a lot of the cards I would include in it, and I think you can definitely continue to cook from here. Except take Dark Charizard out. You don't want to play this card. I promise you do not want to play this card. But anyways, we also have a deck here that I have not seen or thought about for years, which is Raydoom. This was considered a popular and strong deck in Japanese RSPK for a long time. Uh, kind of before we had even the modern, like the pre-modern era. Um, it was considered good because Rayquaza is good and locking trainers is good, and Houndoom could occasionally attack if you needed it to. So you just get to play all these very bullshit cards like ER2 and Quad Pal. This one's on some truly perplexing choices, such as these two multi-tech O1s, which, if you don't know what this card does, it's a technical machine that, for colorless, it just paralyzes, which is not bad. I don't really see what the synergy is, though. I guess with Cursed Stone and the fact that you're shutting off warp points, but I don't fully understand it myself, honestly. The Castaway in this is cool. I'm surprised they're not on more Castaways, if anything. Of course, Lynette's, because you can't play Mentor in this deck to get Rayquaza. Nothing particularly objectionable about this list. I don't know if Apom is that good if you're on Dual Ball, but what can you do? The one Holland Adventure, I kind of see what's going on there. I feel like TV Reporter might still be better, but who knows? And I feel like DRE is strange in this. Like, I feel like if you're gonna run anything, you'll just run like a scramble or two. I don't really see what the DRE is doing. ATM Rock is sick nasty though. I think it's a really good card in this list. The two Windstorm, I also don't fully understand what you're trying to bump with that. Um, like Rayler does kind of struggle with Cess sometimes, ironically enough, because it shuts off Rage Aura, but I often feel like it's a luxury that Rayler wishes that it can play and not something that it actually should be playing. Um, but yeah, this is once like most of these decks I don't really have a whole lot of experience playing with, and they're playing very different lists than I'm used to seeing. So, but very cool result. I don't know if people are going to start playing Raydoom because it is a very like terminally unsexy deck to play. But if you are going to play Raydoom, if there's any Raydoom fans in the audience, then this is a huge moment for y'all. Your biggest W ever. Um, and then day two, you played Ryegs. Looks like a pretty not actually no, this list is kind of crazy. So it's on only three admin. The Professor Oak's research. Um, I know that Negi's a big fan of Professor Oak's research in this deck because he thinks admin is bad to play. Like it sucks to have to play admin a lot of the time, but it is so good early game for Rags. Um, the 4-3 lines, the relatively low energy count, the 2 Magnemite, 2 Cast Form, and then just the 4 DRE Scramble. No metals, no heals, no warps, no Delta Rainbows. I am a little sketched whenever I see this because I feel like you are opening yourself up to missing attachments, which this deck really doesn't want to do. But maybe it's chill. I haven't really run the numbers on it. And then 4 ER2, 4 Cess, 4 Curse Stone. Absolute no fun allowed. The one swoop is nice because you can play it with the Fire Mew in order to own Sceptile EX, which sounds pretty nice. Um, Excuse me. Yeah, cool stuff. And Ryegs once again establishing that. Well, okay, it didn't take any W's day two, but people are still playing Ryegs, and it's apparently still a good deck, despite the fact that you're playing Ryegs, which it's a bit of a curse. Anyways, moving right along, we have Kurishina on Meganium. Um, Meganium, another deck like Bombtar, where we still haven't really figured out the right direction to go, or if we have, then there's like 17 people who are claiming that they have that. You obviously want to play like a high Delta Meganium count, and then it's like, do you want to play Meganium EX? Do you want to play Grass Meganium? Do you want to play Pidgeot? Do you want to play Fearow? Do you want to play Sceptile? Do you want to play Water Mew? Do you want to play Latios Star? Do you want to play Fire Mew? Like, there's so many questions of what to play in this deck. So they're going with the Grass Unseen Forces Meganium. This card's pretty neat. I actually think it's. I don't know if it's necessarily worth playing, but it does do pretty cool things. It has a good damage output. Like you're hitting 100 damage for 3 energy, which is pretty good for a non EX. With Meganium EX, you're healing the damage you do, and it of course heals itself, so you can definitely do big damage. And although it does heal the opponent as well, you can deal big damage though and heal some of that off, which is nice. Um, I do think the one of Meganium EX, even though you're on Sceptile, is still pretty strong. Having some form of Energy Excel is nice, and although they do clash, it's not the worst thing because they're both good in different. Like if you're not playing the Sceptile EX, the Meganium EX is very much appreciated, and if you are playing Sceptile EX, the Meganium EX can still come up. Um, like it is a thing that has a lot of HP, although it is a worse attacker than Sceptile on basically every front. So there is that. And the 2-1-2 Pidgeot, no 204. It's a little interesting. No Jirachi in this either. Just going for Holland's Cast Form. That's kind of dicey to me. I feel like I'd want a Jirachi in this somewhere. Oh, this list does look kind of tight. Don't really know what you'd cut. I don't know if you need PAL in this deck either. Like, you can't hit Sceptile. I don't know. I guess PAL is good in every Pidgeot deck. So, um, yeah, definitely cool list. 2 Warp Energy and a Brinies and a Versus is usually enough to, like, wiggle out of the bullshit PAL decks. And of course, you're going to be crushing against Bombtar for the most part, just because Delta Meganium is a funny guy. Um, yeah, cool list. 2 Retriever, I also think you can probably cut that one down if you just play smartly. I think most decks that play 2 Retriever, that's probably true for. Um, Moving along, we have Tomapon playing my Gardevoir list. Tomapon hit me up a bunch about this deck before the tournament. He asked some really good questions. Some questions that I often get, which is why don't you play Rayquaza EX? Things like that. And some people do hear what I say and they're like, I'm still going to play this or I'm still going to take this out or whatever. And, more power to them. But he said, you know what? He's answering all my questions. I know he must know what he's talking about, so I'm just going to play his list. And he did really well. He got 3rd place in the main event and did well on day 1. So, yeah, not a whole lot to say. I mean, I've talked about this list. If you've been out of the game a little bit, you might notice that it's playing Stantler. So that is a relatively recent inclusion. You play 1 Stantler over a Delta Rainbow. Logic behind playing the Stantler is that one, it's a fantastic opener. That's just true in almost every matchup. I've my win rate for winning games when I open Stantler is like very high. I know that much. It's high because if you get turn 2 pushed away, you have hand knowledge. You're hitting rare candy against the stage 2 decks. You're hitting Cursed Stone against the Stantler decks. It's just a crazy card. Uh, Even if you're not trying to hit like windstorms. And So that's like one reason is it's a good starter, but obviously it goes deeper than that. It's really good into uh, locked board states, which you very often find yourself in against Sceptile and Bombtar. So what happens very often in those games is that both players are setting up. You have like, or and you have Sceptile up against Bombtar or something, or you're playing against Sceptile and you don't want to take the first prize because they're gonna POW something up. They get POW access, and then they can start KOing you, and that's bad. And they don't want to take the first prize because then you have POW access, and then they don't have POW access. So like you're both at this standstill, and it becomes unclear what to do. And sometimes Gardevoir can just lose if they get like a big enough board set up, and like if they're just using Spinning Tail enough with Tyranitar, for example, or if they just get enough energy on the board with Sceptile, you just can't really break the board. But Stantler helps out a lot because Stantler puts pressure on them. You're saying, okay, I'm going to be using Push Away and I'm going to be discarding some of these cards that you're going to be trying to use to make this unbreakable board. And it's going to eventually get initiative, and with Cyclone Energy, you can avoid taking KOs. And it's really good against Bomb Tower specifically because a lot of them don't play a ton of cards for Screechy Voice. Or if they play Warp Point, they're going to warp the Stantler out, and then, yeah, maybe they'll heal Confusion, but the Stantler can just come right back and then confuse them next turn. So, yeah, that's why I played Stantler. And I cut the Delta Rainbow because after seeing Negi succeed so much, and after playing the Zelox list with 4 Warp Energy and nothing else, I was just like, you know, I think you can run fewer energy in this deck and it's still okay. Like, you do hate missing attachments, but it's not the end of the world, and if it means that you're playing more cards that swing things like Stantler, it's worth it. So, anyways, same list as me. Not a whole lot else to say beyond that. If you've played against me in the last like 2 years, you probably played this list. So, or something close to it, I guess. No more Mr. Mime. May he rest in peace. Um, we have Ichika on Bombtar. Uh, wow. All right, this is crazy. This list, there's always something to talk about with these Bombtar lists, man. Luna Rock, I think, is a good call. I think a lot of decks nowadays are just Pidgeot decks. Gardevoir is big. Sceptile is probably as big as it's ever been. Um, and even though those are the two biggest Pidgeot decks by far, I guess in Ratlock, kind of. They're still good to play Lunar Rock against. I guess Gardevoir doesn't mind it as much, but it's good. The Jirachi HL for setup instead of DX. This is a pretty common 2025 thing. Obviously, it was done before that, but it's more common now. The Candy, the 4-3-4 with the T-Tar split. I do think the other Dark Tyranitar is pretty good. I don't know if it's necessarily worth playing, but I see the logic. You are hitting the other. You are hitting Dark Tyranitar for weakness with this one, and off of a Spinning Tail, you are one-shotting it. It's kind of like your version of Hitmontop, I guess. Um, you can even one-shot it without that if you have enough energy on it. So actually, you don't even need that much. You just need a darkness and a scramble, so it's pretty good. Probably helps a lot in the mirror. 2 Battle Frontier. Okay, you got to play this or Luna Rock. I don't really think you should be playing both of these cards. 3 PAL is also. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The Cyclones over Windstorms is interesting as well. I think Hearthstone is pretty good in this deck. Although I think it's better if you're on Cess as well because it means you can maybe get one to stick. Um, 3 warp points. This is a pretty common. High warp points counts as common these days. No swoops or warps to account for the fact that you might open Lapras or Magnemite is also interesting. Cyclone, I don't know. I don't know. I also think you should not be playing the bad Dark Pupitar. I think there is very little reason not to just max out the other one, but what can I say? Then we have this. I don't know what the purpose of the Milotic is. I genuinely don't see what that's doing, especially when you're on Lunarock. This makes no sense to me. Like, this is a good card. Also, you should be on a good Feebas. I don't understand this at all. Ichika, if you're watching this, please help me understand what's going on here. Um, Also, now 334 no rare candy is kind of baffling to me. I always love seeing things like this where, like, between day 1 and day 2, he's just playing a different list. It's not like, oh, I need to, like, tech for this matchup and, like, let me just cut Lunar Rock and play, like, Warp Energies or something. Like, no, this is just, like, this is just a different deck of the same archetype, and I don't fully understand it. Um, yeah, what can you say? What can you say? Um, but yeah, good stuff. I just want to know why you're on Milotic in this deck because it doesn't make much sense to me. Then we have Gashi on Rye Eggs. Looks like they played a couple of different lists. Another one of these 4 ER2, 4 CES, and 4 Disruptive Stadiums. Like, please just let me win deck. Very similar things going on here. The 3 admin. 4 Stevens is kind of nuts, but I get it. You would think against Ryags you don't want to bench a bunch of cards, but you often do not have much of a choice because they can just kind of run through your guys if you're not careful and then admin you, and you could be in bad position. Um, you don't really have to worry about like Zap hitting a bunch of things unless you're already set up. And if you're already that set up, then them zapping 3 things for 20 is really not your biggest concern. Um, Same energy count as the other list we saw. And now that I'm seeing all these ones with ER2, I'm thinking that this just might be the way that we play Ryags moving forward. Um, when I play guard against Ryags, it does often feel pretty good for guard, unless they're on ER2s and they're hitting ER2s, in which case it's not very fun. So maybe that's just the way you got to do it going forward. And then day 2, I see they cut a stone for a ruins for a stone. Probably just sensing that they wouldn't be hitting many like Rayler decks or decks that played Regirock. I think Cursed or Desert Ruins is good in this deck. Like, you deal with Regirock that way, and you deal with what's his name, Rayquaza, and I think that those are both relevant enough cards. So that's my opinion. Almost wonder if you could play like a lower Curse Stone Cat and then play like a ATM Rock, because they kind of are doing similar things. You know, they're playing, or you're hedging your bets against these heavy power decks, and they are kind of both counters to that. So I don't know, something to consider. Cut a stone for a ATM Rock. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Then we have Hashidam on Bombtar. Hashidam, a pretty renowned player. One of those like Japanese players who uh, is pretty widely known there and seen as a great player there, but just doesn't play online, so we don't really have the same perception. Um, Anyways, he's on again a bomb tar that has a lot of things going on. We see, of course, the 3/4 Trode is Definitely something. He is probably hitting turn 2 Trode X more than any other Bombtar. Jirachi DX over HL. Not super in vogue these days, but you can definitely still play it. Not skimping on the pals or the admins in this one. The heavy Stevens and warps, similar to like the Zelox style, and also the heavy fire fighting, along with the solid rage. So really no like funny business with Lunarock or anything. No Lapras to bail you out if you just have a mentor, nothing else. A low mentor count. I almost wonder if you want to play Castaway in this one, because you are playing 2 solid rage and like a high fire count, so it should almost always be live. Um, yeah, no cess, no stadiums, just the one windstorm. Uh, really interesting one. Really interesting one. The 3/4 Trode is really the wild. This is the sauce. I was also thinking, when I was seeing the other bomb tar that played like 3/3/4 Tyranitar, we're seeing uh, basically every line that you can play in this game. We'll see another. I think Little River is on the 3/2/4, so we'll get to that later. But yeah, a lot of things going on here. And then day two, the 2 ATM rock. What did he cut for that? He cut a Trode and something else, and a Windstorm. I'm guessing what happened is that players, when they looked at the top 32, saw that it was relatively light on um, Cestex, and so they were a bit more eager to cut windstorms in order to account for that. So yeah, the heavier ATM rock count makes sense. I think this card is just crazy and really annoying to play against, and also good in like it hits the 204 Pidgeot stuff so hard, and it hits Sceptile so hard because everyone just candies into these cards. And even if you're not killing things, it's just so disruptive. Like it's good as a disruptive card, as much as it is a like take 4 prizes at once card. Um, but yeah, definitely a lot of lists here where if you like want to play Bomb Tar and you don't know which list to play, you've got like a lot of good options to pick from. You can just find something that sort of suits what you want and play that accordingly. Then we have Subaru on Flygon. Finally, a Flygon that is not playing Executor. I think Executor is quite bad in this list, or in this deck rather. I think it doesn't solve any of your problems. It's a fighting attacker, but in order for it to be a good fighting attacker, you have to overbench against Bomb Tar, and that really sucks if you're not natively wanting to do that. And it like you only want to attack like exactly Dark Tyranitar with Executor. Everything else, and I guess Sneasely Eggs, but whatever. Like everything else, you really want to be using Flygon EX for. Um, anyways, 203 Pidgeot. I kind of would like to see 204 in this one. The two Mews are cute. I feel like you want to play Warp Energy though if you're on these guys. It's just really nice to be able to get the Warp Energy back and then get the Cast Form and get the Warp Energy back again. Yeah, the 2 Warp Point, I feel like Warp Energy does kind of contrast with like Delta Flygon, but I still feel like you kind of want to have at least one in this deck. I don't think you need Swoop either. I guess to get rid of Cast Form, but I almost feel like you want Giant Stump there, in my opinion. I don't really know what you're stumping away, but it seems good. Absolute, I think the one of is fine in this. Almost wish you, or almost would want to see PAL for, because you're on Fire Mew. You know, you could PAL something up, and then, and by something I mean Sceptile EX and KO it. Rayquaza, I think, is fine in this. I mostly just think that every time you introduce an attacker that isn't Flygon EX into Flygon EX, you have to really be like, why am I including? Why am I? When would I ever attack with Ray EX over Flygon EX? Like, not super often, but Ray EX is nice for when you need Rage Aura and you need to attack for 1 energy or 2 energies. So I get it. And the Mews, you don't really have an argument for it just because they are not strictly attackers in the conventional sense. They are anti bullshit cards. So yeah, cool list. Cool list. I think that a lot of the Flygon lists that have topped, because they're on Executor, I don't like them, and this one's not on Executor, so I like it more. So I recommend this one. We have Churro, the winner. So he played different decks both days. Day one, he played this pretty insane Japanese drag Trode, which is on Meowth plus Persian. Plunder is obviously the main appeal to playing Meowth. And it's good in decks where you're moving energy around. Because often the issue with Meowth is like you have to pay something to retreat and then pay to attack with it. And by then it's like, well, like, what's the point, you know? But um, the fact that you can move energy to it preemptively in case you get cessed is nice. Or after you get rid of the energy, or after you get rid of the cess, you can move energy around, and then like just briny it up is nice. And then Persian is also cool because it's like if you're on Meowth, you can also play Persian, and you can get some juicy things like a rare candy or a windstorm or brinies, of which he's on 3 brinies, which is crazy. Um, 3 brinies, no versus seeker. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like you want just 2 brinies and a versus seeker in this. Personally, you play enough supporters to where I think the versus seeker is good and live most of the time. And then of course the Ditto is for Gardevoir. Um, yeah, cool list. Also, Lapras, not a super frequently seen card. That's probably why he's on 3 brownies, actually, is because he's on Lapras. So, you really don't want that thing being stuck in play, and you really value your bench space. And the Persian, you can brownies up the Persian. Actually, this is based. I'm going back on my previous word. This is based. Um, really cool deck builder, Mr. Churro. And then he won day 2 with Legend Box, like not just with Legend Box with Churro Special, not just Churro Special, but like a absolutely unhinged Churro Special, playing Archie plus Aqua Lantern, which I have never in my entire life seen people play this in RSPK. So if you don't know what this card does, Aqua Lantern, once per turn, you can attach a basic energy to, I think, a Team Aqua Pokemon. It might be a Team Aqua Lantern, though. It's one of those two, for sure. And then Archie, you just put an Aqua Pokemon from your deck onto your bench. So you can put Aqua Lantern directly onto your deck, onto your bench from your deck. The fact that he's on 1 Archie and no way to... Oh, no, he plays Castaway. So you cast away, search Archie, and next turn Archie, put Lantern down. Very cute. Yeah, besides that, this is a lot of the like classics from Chiro Special. It's playing the high Latios EX count, the Latios EX to synergize. You want to get good fellow boosts early to accelerate the energy, and then either attack with one of them or play Mewtwo and move the energy off onto something else. The Jirachis are really good into Gardevoir. Lugia is really good into like Bomb Tar because you can just waste something. Um, Plays Kyogre EX for Rayler, so that you can like make them have to deal with um, something that Rayquaza can't attack, and obviously they can't confuse it. Really swag list. I actually want to play this pretty bad. I should play this list some because it really just looks so cool. Three stump to get rid of all of the extraneous, like if you have a Castform on the bench, Tropius, Lapras, Mewtwo, a lot of things you really want off of the bench. Um, and then the double retriever to account for that. Only one admin is kind of wild, but it's really a deck that you want to just accumulate a lot of advantage with Castaway, and you don't really want to draw into admin off of like a admin to four. You want to hit one of your supporters. So, um, really swag list, like one of the coolest lists I've seen in a long time, and I'm really excited to play it. So, I haven't played Chiro Special at all. Raspberry Bell, aka Negi, on a couple of his classics, Bombtar and his Gardevoir. This list is insane, as they all are. It's the Jirachi DX, the 3-4 Trode, not skimping on admin or POW, always nice to see. The high warp point, courtesy of Zelox. The Master Ball is crazy. Master Ball. I mean, I guess I get it. Again, it's one of these things. It's like, yep, you're probably hitting turn two Trode quicker than just about every other Bombtar. So that certainly means more now than it meant a while ago. Yeah, what can you say? The three solid rage. We're seeing a lot of solid rage in this deck actually. Um, I know people have experimented with this before, but definitely seeing a higher count of this card than I remember seeing previously. I almost want to see a Castaway to search it. I'm going to say this for every non uh, non. What am I? Where's my words? Non-Castaway Bombtar. I think Castaway is a cool card. It's a little slow, but it just guarantees that you're going to have a good turn at some point. So I like the card, and it's an attachment. It's an attachment. Also, three dark, three rage. I don't understand. I feel like you just play another dark and cut a rage, but what do I know? I know nothing about this deck, and there's 14 quintillion lists for it, so I don't know where I'm supposed to start really. And then he played his Gardevoir. I want to say he put Rainbow Energy in over something, but the rest of it is his same list he's been playing. I think he put it over a Ralts because yeah, it's 3-2-4. We see Little River do this as well when I get to his list. Um, and also a 3-1-4 Pidgeot line. So if you've never seen this before, it just is a completely different way to play guard than how I play the deck. It's really cool. So definitely recommend trying this list out if you haven't. Even though I wouldn't play it myself. So I think it's a really cool list. And once you get like the Pop Pidgeot Celebi loop, it does some pretty wild things. You just cycle all your rare candies back, or you can get PAL back, and that's pretty funny. Jason Klaczynski also, he's been playing a lot of Rayler lately. I think he's tired of like playing Camler and Scrambled Eggs and these decks that just he. I think he's to the point where he's kind of done messing around with decks that are not quite demonstrably at the top, and now he's just playing his Rayler because he's better than almost every player, and he is showing it. He's having a pretty nice 2025 run in these IRL events. He did very well at BCS. I'll talk about that at a later date, but yeah, had a really good day one at Double Rainbow. Um, Really nice Rayler list too. A lot of things in here I like a lot. Unknown. I'm not usually huge on in Rayler, same for Jason, but with Roselia, it's really good. And then Roselia itself, I think, is very disruptive. It's the same thing where, like, if you open Roselia, it's immediately something they have to deal with, same as if you open Stantler or Rayquaza. And then the one Minun, I think, is a good choice. You don't really want to open with it, and you don't really need to cycle with it that badly, so it's just like a auxiliary thing to worry about. Beyond that, 3 Scott is, I think, maybe a bit much. The one Super Scoop Up he's told me is good, and I think is probably correct, maybe. I don't know. I like the stadium lineup, no bullshit with Giant Stump. You're not skimping on either of them. Battle Frontier is nice, but perhaps a luxury. No Marys, just on the TV reporter, the one TV reporter, and then the one Stevens. I think they typically play a higher count of these, but I guess he's on a higher Scott to compensate for it. Um, and not a whole lot beyond that. I do hate Mr. Stone's project, but I'm not a Rayleigh player, so you probably shouldn't take that advice. But I do think this card is bad, and I would rather play a bunch of cards over that. But some people know what they're doing, and I guess I'm not one of them for this deck. Then day two, he played a Super Mega Turbo Bomb Caddy with Wally's Training. Um, this card is bad if you can't see it. Uh, he's shown me this list quite a bit. We've kind of talked about it a little bit. I'm definitely not like a. He has done the legwork on this deck, though. I don't want to take too much credit. Although I did tell him about Pokenev, so um, we didn't really know what the ratio on these trainer cards should be. Like, should we be playing 4 Master Ball or 4 Great Ball? Is Pokenev just better than all these cards? How many surprise time machines do you want to play? Once you address the fact that you should be on Quad Admin, that you should be on 4 Delcatty and a Delcatty EX, it's kind of hard to know where to go from there. Um, but yeah, so this one, it's not playing Magneton because the idea is that you don't really want to take time to build up a Magneton. You just want to build up a Delcatty, attack with it, and if that goes down, you just build up another one. You use your second bomb, build that one up, and then somehow you take your last prize with Trode EX or Delcat EX or something, and then you just win from there. 3 Windstorm because you're on 3 Cyclones, and you're just fast enough that you can usually win against these cess decks. He said he drew horribly in Top Cut, and that's why he didn't go further than top 32. But this list is crazy, and I've said for a while that we haven't really had like a great Bomb Caddy list that's public, and now we do. I think this is a really good list, and if you want to play Bomb Caddy, this is a good place to start. Also, the boost energy he's said is really good because it gives you a injection of damage for Delcatty, and also it's nice to tail slap with Delcatty EX. Um, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He is on a high energy count. I think my Bomb Caddy played 2 fewer energy than this, so maybe it played the same. I don't remember, but yeah, good list. Good list. Shame it didn't go further, but it's a good list. I need to talk faster. Oh man, we have so many more of these to go through. Okay. Um, Bomb Mints. It wouldn't be Double Rainbow without a Bomb Mints sneaking in here. 2 DRE? I don't know about that. You do not deal enough damage with its first attack. I don't know. Another, like, this is a very, very similar to like how you would just play Bomb Tar, I feel like. Like a lot of the cards are similar. I guess the 2 candy 434 is different, but I would much rather be attacking with Dark Pupitar over Shelgon, so it makes sense. Um, Beyond that, I do. I know why these decks don't play Scramble, but I do kind of feel like maybe one could be nice, although it is unsearchable. I play that over DRE. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Did he play the same thing in D2? He played 2 Warp Point, which he didn't play any Warps day 1. That's kind of crazy. But I can't tell what he cut. Got something for Warps. I don't know. The 2 Holland FF I think is pretty funny as well. Gardevoir actually does often like deal with Salamence to some extent, like with the fact that Pidgeot does 80 damage to it. So uh, the Holland FF is pretty funny here. Actually, a lot of energy. I don't usually see these playing such a high energy count. Um, but yeah, I mean it's bomb. This was funny last year, but now it's an actual deck that you need to watch out for. So I do think Lunar Rock is good in this deck for sure. You kind of need that edge against the Pidgeot decks, which are kind of inevitably now the Sceptile decks. Um, and then Canton on a couple of things here. So day 1, he's on Nidoqueen, which I have never in my life seen Canton play. Nidoqueen with a Nidoking tech. Fairy energy is Victory Ring. And we see quite a few players taking advantage of these like Japanese exclusive Victory Orb and Victory Rings. Finally, a Nidoqueen list that tops that plays the Holland engine. Thank the Lord, we are finally seeing this. 2-2 Pidgeot. Yeah, you want to play that because you want a fast evolution and grab Pidgeotos. Or invitation and grab Pidgeotos. So I think that's the right call. And then you are on Sceptile EX because why wouldn't you be? Um, this energy count is wild. Why are you on boost energy? What? I also, gun to my head, don't know exactly what this Nidoking does. I think its Pokebody increases damage by Nidoqueen. Its attack, I think, poisons on a flip. And then its other attack is like a 60 snipe or something. It's not fantastic. I feel like you would want Pow if you want to snipe in this deck. But what do I know? I think 2 Retriever also. Yes, I don't know. Not entirely necessary. At least when I played Nidoqueen, that was my takeaway. Um, Beyond that, 1 admin is insane. We're actually seeing a lot of players playing fewer admins in a lot of decks. Churro is on 1 admin. This is on 1 admin. Um, of course, we've seen Ryags with no admin, which is perhaps the final frontier there. But yeah, I mean it's a good list. I'm not sold on Nidoking, but I think Canton like recently published a tournament report, so I'll have to read that and see if he convinces me. And Victory Ring in these decks. Also, yeah, the Lapras and Jolteon are new. I almost want to see Pop Pidgeot if you're playing those cards, but might be cooking too hard. Um, yeah, we're seeing more of these Victory Rings. I spoke about it a second ago, but maybe this card is just good. Maybe it's not just this luxury that you can't really afford. Maybe we should be on it. And then day 2, he's also on it. He's playing Negi Gardevoir. I don't immediately know what cards he's playing different in this list. But yeah, definitely know this Crystal Shard is not normal. I wonder what he's hitting there. Maybe Drag Trode, but I feel like you're pretty good in a Drag Trode. Maybe not with this Negi variant. It's not good into Sceptile Drag Trode. I don't know. But Yeah, I kind of spoke about this earlier. Although Victory Ring does seem like a nice fit in here because you are on a bunch of one ofs, and a lot of them are kind of crucial. Um, yeah, so there we are. And he did get top 8. Unsurprising, he went pretty far in this. We have you on. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. He's on Meganium day 1. It's like a weird Meganium though. It's on no Meganium EX, no Unseen Forces Meganium, no Firo. He's playing a 1/1/1 Psychic Gardevoir to, I guess, move energy around. And it's a good attacker, too. I mean, it's definitely not the first choice I would have for a Meganium list, but I do see the vision here. Holland Farmer, pretty nice as well. Although, if you're on Farmer, you do not need a Retriever in this deck. Um, but beyond that, and I think Psychic Mew or Water Mew is, of course, really nice. Both the Mews are good here. Um, beyond that, nothing, not too many surprises. You know, it's. Uh, wait, why are you on Fighting Energy over Delta Rainbow? I feel like I get it's probably for Holland Farmer purposes, but I feel like you'd almost always want to just play the 4th Delta Rainbow over one of these guys. I guess Psychic is nice for scrambled eggs, which is a deck that people were definitely playing at Double Rainbow. Definitely were people playing that. Day 2, I have no idea what this is. Sunflora, Eradicate, Parasect, Sceptile. 1/1/1 Sceptile. I have no clue how to evaluate this deck. I am genuinely baffled by this. I don't know what it's trying to do. I don't know if it does that well. I have no idea what this deck is trying to accomplish. Like, this is probably how they felt seeing Rayler in Japan in like 2021. Like, I have no idea what this deck is trying to do. And if anybody's played with it or against it, please tell me because I am at a loss. Sunflora is not the worst attacker. Eradicate's, of course, good. Parasect powers things up and poisons things, and Sceptile is good, but I don't know why you play these cards together. I don't know why it's on Master Ball and Pokeball over normal cards. Celio searches this entire deck and it's playing none of them. I don't know why you're on 2 POW if it's a Eradicate deck. I don't know why. Like, I'm at a loss for words, truthfully. And no scramble, even though it's a some like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Please tell me what's going on here. Then we see Adiosora on Rayler. This appears to be towards Rayler. No, it's not because it doesn't play Brinies or Stump or any of that stuff. But it is a 4 versus Seeker list, which I know Jason hates. It's also a 4 Mary's Request list and a 4 Super Scoop Up list, which I know Jason hates. No fancy text. 4-3-2 on the lines, so not a quad Ray EX deck. I don't really know why it's a Lynette fan club split. I feel like fan club is probably better in these. I still don't really understand the 4 versus Seeker thing. Like, you're not playing enough. Like, I guess it's nice in in-game situations, but I just don't really understand it. It's such a bad card to draw early game. I don't really know. I guess it, like, if you draw Castaway versus Seeker, you can Castaway grab like Marys and then have versus Seeker in case it goes south on the Marys, but I don't know. But good placing by Adiosora. Ended up getting top 8. I think the highest placing Rayler, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like the versus Seeker thing isn't bad. I just don't really understand why you would do that. Oh man, I need to hurry it up. Okay, so we have Kurokuro on Scizor Sceptile. Oh wait, no. Scizor day 1, Sceptile day 2. Okay. Day 1, this is, if not Canton's list, very close to it. I think Canton might be on Warp Energy, but a lot of the hallmarks of Canton's list and some of the Tfue influence, the Latios and the Delta Blastoise I know are Canton bits. I think the 2 Jirachi is a Tfue bit. Giant Stump over Swoop, another Canton one. Very low grass energy count. You just have to hope that Camerupt gets you through, and usually it does. And yeah, other than that, not too many surprises here. I don't see anything that's really jumping out to me about this. I do think Warp Energy is kind of essential in this deck, but yeah, what can you do? And then day 2, Scizor. I think it's on one less Copycat, one less Admin, a Oranberry, and a Rainbow Energy. Please play Pokeball on this list for the love of God. And other than that, it's Scizor. Don't really know what happened to like make him pivot from Sceptile, which is I'm going to say it is an objectively better deck than Scizor. Because Scizor is what you play if you don't want to build or don't want to think. And I guess playing an exact Canton list means you don't want to build, but playing Sceptile is not a I don't know how to play the game. I mean, it's a pretty non-trivial deck to play. So going from that to Scizor, I don't really understand that, but I'm not Kurokuro, so what do I know? Okay, okay. Then we have Oil on Bombtar and Gardevoir. Two very different decks. I think Negi did this as well, though, so the Negi Classic. This looks... Is this Negi's list? If it's not, it's really close to it. With the 3-4 Trode, the Master Ball, the Jirachi DX, the Solid Rage over the Darkness. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Negi's list. I think Negi might have written about this, so I'll have to read and see if I can understand why he made some of these choices. But I do think I am confident that a 4th Darkness over the 3rd Solid Rage is the way to go. Although I guess they're both neither of them researchable, so tough to say. And then day 2, I'm pretty sure this is Negi's exact list, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, maybe I don't know who this person is, but I assume that they're friends with Negi because they seem to have done the exact same thing. So yeah. What else? What else is there to be said? It's good lists. Then we have Right Hand Hikaru. I'm sure that's not how his name is supposed to be pronounced. Playing Shiftry EX. Not the like fancy one that I have with the other Shiftry EX and the Crawdaunt and the Sableyes and all that. A classical one with the Lickitung as the opener. You're trying to spread damage early and draw cards, get set up with it. Also, he's playing ATM Rock for day 2, which I think is pretty swag. Cessation Crystal is gnarly in this one. I definitely think ATM Rock is the better. Like the idea for both of these is similar, but ATM Rock is, I think, more effective. You can search it out, and it's just a nice end game card to have. I don't know why he's not playing all of these as the collect C-Dots. I'm also like, I would just rather play my Shifter EX, so I'm biased, but I don't really understand the Lickitung thing. I feel like if you get enough of these Shifteries set up, well, I don't know. I don't know. you be playing Delta Rainbow over Psychic? No, definitely not, because you want to play multi plus Psychic. And absolutely X is cool. I think a one of these is fine. 2 POW, also nice. Also nice. 1 Windstorm is bold. That is a bold choice. I guess you just lose if you play against Ryegs with this list. Because, yeah, you only have 3 stadium bumps. So, yeah, I don't know about that one, man. But might just be one of those, let me just not hit any cess decks, and if I do, I'm going to lose, and if I don't, I'm going to win. So, yeah, I don't know. Then we have Tabris on Bombtar. A lot of things going on here. The Jirachi split is very rare these days. No Lapras, no Lunarok funny business, no Holland's Magnemite, the 2-3 Trode, the Larvitar split. You will never ever explain this to me in a way that makes me understand. It's like, oh, it hits Stantler harder. It's like, okay, well, so does the Fire Larvitar if you attach a fire energy to it. And also, I don't think hitting Stantler hard is Bombtar's problem. 4-4-4 also pretty uncommon. And you play 2 Rockets Pokeball. Almost feel like that's too much consistency, if anything. Um, Beyond that, Brinies and Versus Seeker, not super popular cards in this deck anymore. Brinies is just a little antithetical to how this deck typically plays, especially if you're on. I think like 4-4-4 plus the Brinies, plus the Versus, plus the Retriever, plus the 2 Rockets Pokeball. I feel like you can be getting more valuable things out of your deck than those cards in that combination. 2 Windstorm, no Cess. ATM Rock is cool in this deck. I think ATM Rock, I've already said it a bunch of times, but it's a really good card and it's probably been underplayed up until now. The heal energy is actually largely absent from modern Bombtar, but I think they're always going to be good. It heals your guy and heals confusion, so always going to be good. Day 2, he's playing the Scizor EX deck again. Still on Master Ball. Still on Master Ball. Maybe one day one of these guys will listen to me, but and again, why you top cut with Bombtar? You're clearly a strong player. Why would you move to Scizor? Maybe this deck is just good. Maybe this deck is actually just like a top 10 deck, but he did get top 8 with Scizor. I don't know, but I just feel like if you're a good player, you're almost guaranteed to have a deck that you'll do better with than Scizor EX. Is how I would probably equate that. Unless you've just been grinding a lot of games with it. So, I don't know. And then Yamato of Yamato fame played in this tournament. He top cut and then did not play day 2. And then I think Q at 33rd got to play. So he played ZRE. And he played a completely baffling ZRE list. So it's the typical ZRE shenanigans. You get energy with Voltorb, you Trode Bomb onto something, and then you Legendary Ascent, bring your Ray EX up, and do 10 billion damage. Of course, it typically does not is not so romantic. You know, you have to deal with Cessation Crystal, which he is not. He's not. He's not playing any Windstorms. I guess the idea is you just play Reversal, and this is an O5 list. Is this straight up just an O5 list? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Claw Fossil does something, I suppose, maybe, in this deck. I have no idea, man. He's on Pokeball. So, Smoke on that. I don't think this was a serious list. I don't think Yamato plays RS to PK. But I think him and I think Jason and him are buddies, so he might have came out for that reason, and that might have been why he didn't want to play in day two. Um, but it's cool he made day two with ZRE. I mean, that's probably never going to happen again. So good stuff to Mr. Yamato for doing it. And then Hawaii-san on the Scizor deck. Play Pokeball. I don't know what else to say. These are the same lists. It's the same lists. Mr. O on Dragtrode. A very colorful Dragtrode here. How many types is playing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's playing every type but metal. It's playing metal. It's playing every type. Wow. Isn't that cool? Isn't that neat? Isn't that cool? A lot of things that are cool here. I don't. Oh, it's a Forlanet. It's not a Holland engine. Wow. You don't see that a whole lot in these decks. But yeah, I mean, you're on every different type, so Lynette is probably pretty good. The one Holland's cast form makes me a little weary, although I guess Holland's Magneton is replacing that to a degree. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. The Mag Cargo I have not really been sold on in this deck. I think you play enough things that don't want to get dragged up into the active, and Mag Cargo is yet another one. But this is a very different approach to Japanese drag trode that we don't typically see because it's not a Holland engine deck. Lynette's does feel really nice to play. Like, you do love playing this, but you can only run 4. So that's a bit unfortunate. I think one retriever is probably the right call here. You will just have to make it work, and whatever happens, happens. And then I do like Warp Energy in these decks. Although, not maxing your Dark Metals is unhinged. This is maybe the most unhinged thing I've seen in today's decks. So, and then I think day 2, he just put the other mime in the deck, which is probably better than Ditto in most circumstances. But not all. Not all. But yeah, not a whole lot else to say from day 1 to day 2. Then Nabe on Bombtar. I think this is like within a card or two of the Zelox list. No Curse Stone. And no 4th Stevens. Instead, it's on 2-3 Trode. I don't really understand why you would want to do that for this one, because the entire point of playing 2 Jirachi HL and the Holland's Magnemite is so that you don't have to worry about doing something like that. But I guess it's hinges your bets if you don't open Jirachi, but you do open like Mentor. So I guess I see it. Yeah, not a whole lot else to say about this list. And then day 2, this is Churro's drag trode, right? Pretty sure. If it's not, it's within a card or two. So I already kind of talked about that, but yeah, again, the Meowth Persian thing is really cute. I think he might have cut a Windstorm, actually, which makes sense because, as I said, day 2, not as cess heavy. Okay, yeah, so they do say Empty's runner up. Okay, yeah, so Empty played Sablay, Sablay Bombtar both days. Yeah, this deck, very annoying to deal with. I think Adam Vernola played this at the BCS, actually. But yeah, so the idea is you lock with Sableye, you Mentor for Girafarig, Solrock, and Lunatone. And then after you do all that, you can do your regular Bombtar stuff with Voltorb. I almost want to see Jirachi DX in here. I know it clashes with Girafarig, but I think like maybe swooping Jirachi into Sableye would be even more dastardly than this deck already is. You do have to make a lot of cuts to the deck to facilitate playing it like this. Like you have to play shit like 2 scramble energies. I don't know why you're on this heal energy count. I feel like you'd want to just play quad rainbow at this point. Um, and you have to cut into admin account. You have to make a bunch of concessions. You can't really play like any Jirachi or like a 2/3 Trode or Retriever or Candy or any of the cards you'd kind of like to have. But if you do limitation them turn 1 every game, it's pretty good. And people are not teching for this, and it's really hard to. So expect to see some variations of this deck a bunch in the future, for better or worse. Then we have Little Rivers. So day 1, he played a Gardevoir very close to my list, but not exactly. He played a Fire Mew over a Ralts. I thought he swapped out a Fire Ralts actually, but I guess I'm mistaken. Because he said he was annoyed about having to deal with Sceptile, and after losing to Sceptile a couple times recently, he might be cooking here. He might be cooking here. And then he also played Ray EX over something. What in God's name is he playing Ray EX over? 204 Pidgeot, 324 Guard, 3 Castworm, Magnemite, 101 Sept, Regirock, Stantler. I must be losing. Oh, over a Warp Energy. Which is definitely cutting it close. That's the one where I would not do this personally, but a lot of people like having Ray EX in this deck, and it is easy to see why. I mean, when you're on the Delta Rainbows, it is attacking for 1 energy, and it can help into those locked board states that I talked about. He's also playing a Psychic Hylia over Fire. I do want to ask him about this actually because I've kind of had that in my head for a while, and I want to see how it worked out for him and if he ever missed the second Fire Kirlia. But because the Psychic one is nice for the mirror because it deals 50 to Gardevoir for 2 energy. So not a whole lot to say otherwise. It's very close to my list, so you should know more or less what this deck is doing. And then day 2, he played Wimpy Chicken. He played Dodrio Hit and Run. It's very funny that he is always on this deck. He is really good with it. I mean, he's the best player of this deck in the world, I'm sure, right? Like, I don't know who else it could possibly be. But it's just a hard deck to succeed with, in my opinion. I think there's just not much it like really wins hard against. In theory, it does against Bombtar because you play like Sceptile and Dugtrio, but if they get going quick enough, it's tricky. If you don't find like the energy to attack with Dugtrio, it's tricky. If they like just play Sass, it's tricky because they can Spinning Tail. Um, and you want to play like a whole bunch of fossils, but like after you're on 8 fossils, it kind of sucks to play anymore. And then those fossils, um, you know, they do kind of have, they are multifaceted. Like you can do cool things with them, but like they are ultimately so you can deal 40 damage and switch out, which is just not like a huge return on investment. But the deck has obviously, I mean, you're looking at it, it has a bunch of tricks. It can attack with Sceptile, it can attack with Dugtrio, it sets up with Jirachi, it's a Dunsparce deck because it plays fossils, it's non Stantler, Arrow EX because you're already on Mysterious Fossil is cool. It can use Ditto to morph into any of this shit. Minun and Wob to Pal Loop, and obviously get back like your Retrievers and your. Oh, it's only on one swoop. That's kind of interesting. And then gets back your Solid Rages. It's on ATM Rock. It just has a whole bunch of tricks up its sleeve, and it hopes that some of those tricks will win the game. I've talked about it before on Twitter, on X, the Everything app, but there are a lot of decks that play this kind of approach where it's like, okay, I don't really have like one super solidified strategy. I'm gonna try to do a bunch of things to you, and hopefully one of them will be enough to win the game. So it's a hit and run deck. You're locking with Sceptile, you're attacking with Sceptile, you're protecting bench damage with Dugtrio, you're PAL looping, you're pushing away, you're confusing with Dunsparce, you're discarding tools with Arrow. Just a whole bunch of things going on. Also, ATM Rock is, I think, really cool in this because you would really like to devolve everything. And with Minun and Wob, you're like, if you ATM Rock a Pidgeot deck twice, it can often be pretty hard for them to get back into the game. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a super wild list. I don't know. He did get to top 16 with it. I don't know how good this deck is. I do kind of want to ask him that. So I'll ask him these questions after the call, or after the video. Then we have a very novel list here. It's Cacturn Evolutions. So I've played people on this list before, but it seemed suboptimal and bad when I played against it. This one looks a little better. Idea, of course, is that you're using Cacturn and the Evolutions to spread damage, but you also have tricks up your sleeve, like Umbreon is obviously cool to gust things up. You're also on Stantler because why wouldn't you be on Stantler? The double ATM Rock is nice, and it's nice because you have an attacker that you can natively attach it to. The two Mews are cool, although. Hold on a second. Oh, you gotta be on Delta Rainbow for this deck, man. I feel like Delta Rainbow would be much better with the Mews, but it's chill. um, yeah, beyond that, it looks really cool. I don't quite know if it's got legs, but it is a fighting attacker, so you're probably going to do okay against Bombtar, and you're putting a lot of early pressure on him. Almost wonder if Absolix is any good in this. And then the POW plus the Fire Mew, I think, is something. The 2 ATM Rock also helps with Sceptile. Surprise Time Machine might be a little fancy, but yeah, very cool list. I think One Battle Frontier also does not do anything. Like, they're gonna get through the Battle Frontier, man. Like, I don't really know, but and it also hits your Umbreon, so I would probably cut that for something else, and cut the multis for Delta Rainbows. But really cool list. Be curious to see if anybody else picks this up, and if so, if they see any success with it. Okay. So, this card, Medicham does damage with its first attack based on how much damage is on the defending, and then the second attack does damage based on how many cards are in their hand. So I guess it's the fighting attacker for Bombtar. I feel like you'd want to play like Hitmonlee if anything, right? Or wait, is Hitmon top still better? Because like, you play like a Tyrogue. I don't know. Metacham is really digging in the archives for anti for like fighting attackers. We are truly like reaching the event horizon of cards that are technically usable because they are brown. Um, wow, yeah. Also, Hitmontop like does something, right? It like no, it actually does not get anything cool whatsoever if it's evolved. Does Hitmonlee? Hold on. I feel like because Canton played Hitmonlee and something. Sorry, it's really pertinent. I know what Hitmonlee does. Yeah, Hitmonlee evolved does a clean 60 with Mega Kick. So 60 with a scramble seems pretty good to me. Um, yeah, so another Raydoom, and this one actually went the distance. It went to top 16. Uh, Energy recycle system is, if I thought that Mr. Stone was questionable, this is truly some next level. Why are you playing this card? I almost feel like you want energy charge and just try to hit scramble, but uh, I don't know. I don't know why. And okay, never mind. Multi does have a purpose in that. Multi has no purpose in this deck, in this list though. Do not like it doesn't do anything in this list. It does nothing. It like achieves nothing. You can't attach two multis to Houndoom. You should like just I don't know. You can play one multi if you really want. In fact, I'm pretty sure one multi is better than no multi and a lightning because you can attack with smokescreen. But it does not do anything. You should only play one. Um, yeah, sorry, this was my nitpicking, but yeah, this is wild. I don't know. It's funny. I have no idea how else you would play Ray Doom. I like the Super Scoop Ups here. I would want a Scott in this deck to hit your stadiums. Um, yeah, the very unsexy deck playing Metacham HL, a card I definitely could tell you what it did off the top of my head without thinking about it. Um, Master Ball also very funny card to play in this with 10 Pokemon. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, good stuff to Mr. Crispy for cutting and getting to top 16, but I do find some questionable things in both of these lists. Also, the 3 Crystal Beach, 2 Scramble. I don't know. I don't know about that either. And then we have Haruka. Okay, so it is showing up now. Maybe I just was. I don't know. But yeah, Haruka on B Mine. This is a crazy deck. So it's Ratlock, right? But you're cutting the middle stages and cutting like Celios and Elms and all that stuff for a good cause. You're also cutting your Wobbuffet line for a good cause because it's um, not just about locking anymore. You're taking prize cards because you're playing a 102 Beedrill Delta Beedrill line, and you're supplementing that with the fact that you're on Victory Ring, so you can actually get to all these guys, and then you can take the prize cards that you put face up. Oh, it does play in Elms. Okay, well, cut the Celio. And you're also on like Solid Rage, which with Scramble on Houndoom does funny things. Scramble plus Solid Rage on Beedrill, you're hitting crazy damage output. Beedrill's attack does 80 damage to evolved guys. It's a Scizor EX crosscut, and now you can scramble it, and you're just doing 100 damage on a free retreater for 1 energy. Um, Past that, you've got Houndoom plus Beach, so you're shutting down Scramble on like against Gardevoir, for example. Um, and you've still got like all of like the usual Ratlock stuff. So you still got like you've got like Houndoom plus Hideout. So that's functionally Wobbuffet, I would say. Um, and it's playing, I think, a bit more energy than mine plays as well, since it is trying to attack more. But yeah, I mean, it's Ratlock as well. I mean, you're going to be able to lock things down and just resource manage things out of the game. Um, you don't really worry about cess decks because you're playing. Well, okay, you do cut Murkrow in this, or they cut Murkrow. I would not cut Murkrow in this deck. Um, oh, they played something different day two. I don't know what the difference between these two decks is. This looks about the same to me. They played three Mentor. They cut something for the third Mentor, which I think is probably correct because so much of this deck powers on when you have Mentor. But yeah, insane list. It's so cool that this went the distance, like the best Ratlock performance IRL. And what a way to do it. I mean, just a very different approach to an archetype that seemed very locked in. Like, for a long time, I was like, you really can't mess with this list too much. And, the DNA is still there. You're still on Espeon, you're still on, the Rat, Pidgeot, Sceptile trilogy, or Trinity, whatever. But yeah, really really cool list. And if you're gonna be playing Rat IRL, this is definitely the direction you want to go. Um, Assuming you can play Victory Ring, that is kind of a bigger contingent here. Guess you can play Island Hermit, but it kind of sucks to have to play that card. And then finally Q. I guess there's one person after this. Q is on Shockwave. He went 5-2. He bubbled, and then Yamato dropped out. This is very close to his was it Stambler 4 list, I think. I know it played the Tyrannitars and the Pidgeot and the Delta Beedrill and the Mantine and the Radix. So it must have been pretty close. But yeah, the basic idea is that you're using the Fire Tyranitar to power up the Tyranitar EX, and you're um, able to get energy on the top of your deck with Mantine. Uh, and you're also it's got like energy acceleration, and then Tyranitar EX is kind of just a house. It doesn't do anything super well, but it's a good all-around guy, and it has built-in acceleration, so that's cool. Like it doesn't, the grass weakness doesn't really come up too often. Electromark is difficult for a lot of decks to deal with. Uh, like if you just Electromark something, you have to play really awkwardly around it because you can't attach energy to that thing for the most part. Um, and if you Electromark like two different things, then they have a lot of options. And then just if you're not even messing with that, if you're just spamming Hyper Claws, that's like a good high damage attack. Um, and then beyond that, you're just on Ray EX. And Beedrill makes it so that you can KO things and Electromark the same turn, which is the primary usage of it. And it hits like nice thresholds because there's a lot of times where like an extra 20 damage will kill something after you Hyperclaws it once or twice. So, um, also triple POW. I did not know he was on that. I almost want to see a scramble. Uh, I don't remember what Tyrantar's attack does, but Beedrill definitely one shots Sceptile with scramble. So surprised he's on 3 POW no scramble. Guess you're on the 2 Holland's cast form, but I don't know. Also, I feel like Fire Mewtwo could be kind of heat in this, but yeah, cool list for sure. And I think day 2, he played Sceptile day 2. This is pretty close to Tfue's list. I've been telling Tfue to play Stantler in this list, and I don't think Tfue plays Fire Mew, although I could be mistaken. I think James G plays that one. But yeah, other than that, I like the Warp Energy. The double Warp Point's nice. I think Lynette's is cool in the deck. I think Roselia is super cool in the deck. Stantler. Sceptile does get into these locked game states that Gardevoir gets into as well. So just having something to make progress there. You have a lot of things to make progress. Actually, you have Ray EX, you have Roselia, and you have Stantler. I think Autumn might have been playing Stantler at that British tournament she won. It might have been a Welsh tournament. Don't kill me, Autumn. But yeah, other than that, I think there's like a couple of different molds of Sceptile that we're seeing, but the idea is pretty similar between them at this point. You play this lineup of Sceptiles, play Camerupt, you play a 204 Pidgeot, and you just play your techs, your Muse, Roselia, Rayquaza, Latios, Regirock, Stantler, I guess, Blastoise. There's a lot of things you can play. And then finally, Gungaloo on this really cool shiftery Dark Dragonite deck. Um, Shiftery X is just a really cool card. It uh, deals with power decks in a very unique way. It obviously you know what it does, but like it's really good against Sceptile decks too because they are not only power focused, but they have to every time you energy trans, it puts damage on. So you really can only use energy trans a couple of times. Um, and like it makes Magma Camerupt not nearly as able to use Overheat because it's taking so much damage every time. Um, and being able to move the energy around means that you can move the energy and attack with Ditto easily, which helps a lot against Gardevoir. So it's a super cool list. I think this is very heads up, and I do feel like this probably struggles a lot into Bombtar. Like I think you have to have just a good setup because otherwise I don't see how you're beating that deck. But just throw a Hitmontop in there, man. You'll be fine. So okay, I've talked enough about this. Oh my god, I've talked so much about this. So I'll briefly go to the deck breakdown. This is for top 8 or sorry, top 32. This I'm pretty sure is top 32. So for the total, yeah, it was 21% Bomb Tar, 10% Drag Trode. So Gardevoir not even in the top 3. And then Gardevoir at third. Um, Ryegs. I think this is Rayler, but it might be all Stantler decks. And then a bit of a drop off. Nidoqueen, Scizor, Flygon, Meganium, Dragonite. I think I see some LBS in there, probably some Sceptile. Um, and then in top 32, very unusual things happening here. A lot of people switched to Gardevoir. Gardevoir had a pretty bad conversion rate. Um, Quite a few people were on it, but only a couple of them topped. But then a bunch of people switched to Gardevoir. Um, and a lot of people played Scizor in top 32. Scizor tied for the most popular deck, which has never come close to happening. And then still a lot of Drag Trode, a lot of Ryegs, like a lot, two, but you know, and then Arcanine, and then all the singletons. So yeah, wild results. So Canton talks about some of his observations here moving forward, but hard to really encompass what's going on here. I'd say like the the Bombtar metagame is really open. There's a lot of different ways to play that deck, and they all operate under different axes. Ratlock showed that it can do well in a timed environment. You just have to play a crazy version of it, We saw the worst card to ever top a tournament in Metacham HL. Um, this now eclipses Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee? Hitmonlee. Sablay still around, not omnipresent. Thank God. A lot of drag Trode, a lot of Japanese drag Trode. No classic Sneasel drag Trode, which almost makes me think that that is just maybe the worst version to play the deck. Because I feel like if all these people are on this, then maybe, and they're obviously aware of Sneasel drag Trode, maybe that's just the way to go. I don't know. Ton of Scizor. I guess this is now like, Arcanine was the stage 2 EX deck, and then it was Bayonet, and now it's Scizor. So maybe this is just like a trend, but it could be a long term thing. We've seen Scizor have success outside of this tournament this year, so maybe Scizor is just good, and it's not just a new player deck. Maybe it just is a good deck. Um, then not a ton of Gardevoir that pulled through, but every Gardevoir that cut and that was in top cut was either my list or a couple cards off, or Negi's list or a couple cards off. So it's really cool that like everyone's kind of net decking the Gardevoir, but it's two very different ways to play the deck. Um, Beyond that, and then this thing, like the first deck that has completely baffled me. Like, I understood the TM Aqua Kyogre deck. I don't understand what this deck is trying to do in the slightest. Couple of like Meganiums. We'd honestly not seen that deck around as much. I feel like kind of like the customary Meganium tops didn't seem as common lately, but we're seeing them here. We see our first like hyper modern bomb caddy list, even though it didn't do anything this time. But um, I think it's cool that we have this now, and we have like a good Rayler list. So Jason giving us two good lists for two very different decks. The when this deck is so cool. This is like I think this is like the coolest list, and I'm really excited to get back. I am taking a break from RSTBK, but when I get back, I'm excited to play this Churro special. Maybe not even this exact list. Like maybe I'll make changes to it, but I think this is so cool. A Flygon topped without Executor, thank God. Ton of ATM Rock. That card is probably the play in a lot of decks. I think it's good in Gardevoir even. Ryegg's still around. No Destiny. No Camler. No Bennett. Some Arcanine is around. Has not always been the case. No LBS. No Shift Redaunt. Relatively just the one Flygon. So definitely some interesting things to glean, and I am glad we had a 150 person in person RSPK tournament. Like that's probably out of everything that happened, all the crazy lists, the crazy texts, the crazy new decks. That's the craziest thing, and that's the best thing. Is that we all came together to play RSPK, and hopefully the next year, if we've got the same thing going, hopefully it's even bigger next year. So yeah, if you have any comments, if you played in this tournament, please talk about your deck, talk about the tournament. I'd love to hear. Um, and if you didn't play, but you're interested in going, can't recommend it highly enough. I didn't go to this one, but I'd love to go to next year's. And I have been talking for too long, so I've got to release you. So good night to everybody who is sleeping to this audio. If you're still awake after using it for that purpose, and I will hopefully cover BCS shortly. Can't promise anything, but shortly. All right.